Thank you. Okay, great. We're going to follow up on our landlord tenant bill that we began discussion of yesterday. Well, we've been discussing it for weeks. And just a reminder, we've been holding hearings on the landlord tenant bill since crossover because we knew we had joint jurisdiction. Judiciary took it on first, and they sent us an amendment that we then worked from and have acted on. After discussions yesterday in committee, it has become clear that we have various points of agreement and disagreement. This bill began as an attempt to balance landlord and tenant needs. It was never intended to skew one way or the other. And I think that as a result, sadly, and given the votes that are represented around the table, and given the hour that we're dealing with, I would propose that we do a very slimmed down version of the landlord tenant bill. Supporting, I think we all support the no trespass elements of the bill, and I think we all support the court study. And so I have asked our counselor to draft that bill, and to I am sorry, I'm deeply sorry to not be able to act on the Good Samaritan piece at the moment. With this bill will go into conference, and so other elements are absolutely able to be discussed. But at the moment, I think we don't have the full agreement to get out Good Samaritan, and I think that the eviction pieces and the bifurcation pieces are going to have to wait for another day, probably next year. So because I cannot do an imbalanced bill. You may have read Angela Zakowski's email that came today, but her email confirmed what my concerns yesterday about the choice on including the language that was proposed yesterday. So that would just really limit a landlord's ability to get rid of very challenging tenants. After reasonable accommodation, it would just take away that opportunity. So I would like our counselor to go through a very slimmed down version of this. This is not the ideal, but it's what I think we can get out at this point in the session. It's been a challenging bill. I always knew this was going to be a thorny bill. Judiciary did good work. I think we've done thoughtful work and really reviewed it. Everyone certainly had their say, and I respect that and appreciate everyone's expertise around the table. But I think in terms of getting this bill out, I think we need to make this move now. So, Counselor Wood, would you be kind enough to take it away?
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Cameron Wood, Office of Legislative Counsel. I have a draft 4.1 of the bill. This is the draft 4.1 of this committee's proposed amendments to the report of the Judiciary Committee. All of the changes are going to be there on page 1. So it would be proposing to amend the Judiciary Committee's report to remove section 1 and insert deleted, remove section 1A and insert deleted, and remove section 3, insert deleted. So that would be removing all of section 1, which is all of the changes regarding the residential rental agreement. So what was left that we were discussing yesterday were the additions of protections for individuals who need medical assistance due to an overdose, and then the bifurcation of the rental agreement for the domestic abuse situation, sexual assault, stalking. And then there was the discussion from Senator Ron Hinsdale about the adding in, certain protections for individuals with disabilities. Section 1A is the section that was adding in the requirement to bifurcate. So the landlord may bifurcate if there was a written request to do so, shall bifurcate if it was included with the court order. So that's been deleted. And then section 3 was the section related to, there were 2 remaining provisions in the ejectment chapter. One corresponded with the requirement that you all put in to have the landlord submit with the termination notice the written statement with the facts about what was the cause, or what were the facts leading to the landlord terminating the rental agreement. So because that's been struck in section 1, you don't need the corresponding change in section 3. So you just remove those sections entirely. So what would remain is the provisions around trespass. So you have the changes in the fourth, fifth, and sixth instance of amendment that you all discussed.
And you just remove the substance of those, that means that once you would just,
Yep, so in the trespass piece, it's the change that requires that if you're going to issue the no trespass because the guest is violating the lease agreement or the terms of the lease agreement, it has to be a pattern of violating the terms. And so then it adds a definition. And then in the fifth instance of amendment on page 2, there was the discussion about it allows the landlord to issue a no trespass order to an individual if the individual has previously been ejected from a dwelling unit on the premises. That was limited by the Judiciary Committee to ejectments based on a termination under B. So for breach of the rental agreement or for criminal activity, for violent acts or illegal drug activity. And Senator Ron Hinsdale wanted to limit that to just ejectments under B2. So not to cover ejectments under B1. So that's the fifth instance of amendment.
which would keep the judgments that are violent or
It would still allow you to issue the no trespass if you ejected someone because of criminal activity, illegal drug activity, or acts of violence, but only in those situations.
And that form ejected is delivered to the individual being ejected.
So you would, in this instance, so this is about the no trespass, but so you would have ejected someone.
it's already happened.
So you would have issued them the termination notice, and then they would have remained after the termination date, and then you would have ejected the individual under the ejected chapter. And then at that point,
Ejected chapter, somebody don't have lease.
I know.
They could still be ejected.
They can still be.
There is an expedited hearing in the ejectment chapter for an unlawful occupancy. So if somebody's there unlawfully, you can actually get an expedited hearing to eject them faster. And so this 4467B, the fifth instance of amendment, if you've ejected somebody because of criminal activity, illegal drug activity, or acts of violence, you could issue them a no trespass order and they would not be able to come back to the property.
Maybe Thomas close them.
And then the seventh instance of amendment here on page 2 remains the same. You're deleting section 7, 8, and 9. That was related to the credit reporting pilot program, the security deposit transition language, and the section related to CVOEO training for landlords and tenants. The training and the credit reporting were not funded, so you've removed those, and the security deposit transition language was no longer necessary because you removed the security deposit changes in section 1. And then lastly, in the eighth instance of amendment, you have section 7, which is the report. As we walked through this yesterday, you removed subsection B from what came over from the Senate Judiciary Committee. But other than that, other than some cleanup, it remains effectively the same with the information that you're seeking back.
So I would propose that to move this through the Senate at the moment, given the reality of the votes and the discussion, that we move this this bill with these key pieces, and that are important and balanced pieces for landlords and tenants. Thomas.
So I'm going to vote no. I don't support this bill, and I think it was just set up the wrong step when we tried to, when the intent was tried to make right or do something right for these tenants over here by doing something wrong for those tenants over there. I just don't think there's a moral potency. So I think it was a flawed approach from the beginning, and I think each change to all our laws should be weighed on its own merits, and there is some sort of balance and trade-off between kicking people's stuff to the curb and ejecting them after 5 days, but that's okay. So if we're going to give 90 days for when the landlord sells the building, there's no equivalency there for me. So this just got off on the wrong step, and I'm going to vote no, but I'm guessing that there's a comfortability with 3 votes on this, and we'll move this forward, and
I have to.
it'll be what it'll be.
So I appreciate that, and I think that much more conversation needs to happen on all those pieces next year. And I do hope that that these are important issues to resolve. That is in part what we had hoped 2 years ago with the landlord tenant task force, that they would do get more of that work done and come to the legislature with that work. Mark and I worked to try and accomplish that and tee it up for a discussion this year. We've had certainly a good beginning discussion. Much more needs to happen. So, I would, at this moment, I think, look for a motion to accept draft 4.1 of H 772 and vote it out. So, thank you. So, and we'll keep the vote open, so in case you vote, obviously. So, Senator,
Enthusiasm.
yeah, well, I think these are two good provisions. I think we need the courts to look at a residential rental docket. I think this is very good. And I think the no trespass.
Signal by public, the way we write things, talk about examining the financial costs of implementing dedicated residential, I'd like to say savings.
Right. So we're in the middle.
Efficiently and shorter time frames.
Yeah,
But
that's what we're hopeful for. So Senator Weeks.
Senator Rollins. Yes. Senator Pitt.
No.
No, on this bill.
We'll keep it open for her.
Senator Weeks, yes. Senator Clarkson.
Yes. So thank you. I'm happy to work on, with whoever'd like to help me, but I'm not happy to report this, but I will report it. Thank you. So, Rick Sagel is going to come in to discuss, and I think if we, anyway, it's fine. What's it going on for? Yeah, should we get, thank you, Cameron. And,